Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Listen, today we making some cabbage. You know, some cute, sexy stewed cabbage. Alright? It has a little pork, a little seasoning, all that delicious stuff that you need and want to make a finger licking meal. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into this video. Alright, so first I have 2 small heads of organic cabbage. You don't have to get organic cabbage if you don't want. However, health is wealth. Invest a couple of dollars or whatever into your organic cabbage. So right now I cut off like the little ugly parts in the base of the cabbage, and I'm cutting it into quarters. There is a core in your cabbage that you want to slice out. So that's what I'm doing and pointing at. It's the core of the cabbage. You can't cook that down for it to be delicious, so just cut it out. So I'm just cutting out the little core of the cabbage, and then we're gonna slice it. You can slice it as thick or as thin as you want. I'm doing like little cute medium slices, and I'm right now adding them into a bowl of water. I didn't show you guys the bowl of water yet, but that's where I'm putting the cabbage. Because listen, let me tell you something, okay? Cabbage, if you get organic cabbage, sometimes there be little bugs and stuff in it, and you want to make sure them bugs is not in what you eating, okay? One time I sliced this little caterpillar in half, and I felt so bad. I mean, he was already dead because he was like in the refrigeration unit and kind of like froze him, but I'm just saying, don't nobody want to be eating worms, flies, or caterpillars when they eat your food. So make sure you soak your cabbage after you cut it up in some water and really rinse it really well. If you want, you can add a little bit of salt to the water for some abrasion, so you can like clean them cabbages out. You don't want no dirt and bugs in your food. I mean, they might add some extra protein, but don't nobody want to see that, okay? So clean your cabbage, all right? So I'm cutting it up again. I'm cutting up the second head, and I am putting it into the basin of water that I have ready for it, because y'all know how I feel about that, okay? And also, make sure you freeze your garbage. Don't nobody want their house thinking, unless you're putting out the garbage, the trash that day, put your garbage in the freezer. Don't nobody want to smell it, all right? So next up, we have I have a half of a red bell pepper. I like red bell peppers because they're sweet. They add a nice sweetness to the dish of whatever you're cooking. And if you don't believe me, bite into a red, orange, or yellow bell pepper raw, and then bite into a green bell pepper raw. You will taste the sweetness difference. So I'm just chunking these up, like cutting them in like big chunks. They don't have to be fancy or anything like that. Yeah, just make sure they're unified and however you choose to cut them. You can cut them in slices if you want. I've done that before. I prefer the chunks because I just like the way that it looks in my cabbage, but you know, whatever. And then listen, okay, if you watch my potato salad recipe, then this other half of onion is coming from that recipe, all right? Because I use half of that recipe in the potato salad, and then this side in the cabbage, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm kind of mirroring how I cut my red bell peppers. And that's a note that you always want to keep in mind. Like, if you cut your vegetables a specific type of way, make sure all of your vegetables are cut in the same fashion, because they'll cook the same way. They'll cook at the same rate, if that makes sense. So here is my basin of cabbage that I told you guys about. I was letting them soak. I didn't use salt this time because I was just trying to hurry up and, cook. But I had it sit soaking in warm, not hot, because that will wilt your cabbage, and not cold, because cold don't clean nothing. So in warm water. In my little skillet here, I am putting thick cut bacon in it. I added 6 pieces. I thought I was gonna just do 5, but I cut my skillet really weird. I cut my bacon I cut it open really weird, so it sliced some of the bacon, so I just ended up adding 6 slices. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's just what happened. So I added six thick cut slices of bacon. You can add less if you want. You can add more if you want. I feel like 6 was a nice little number. So I'm going to cook that while I walk around my house. Also, I know y'all, some people have DM'd me about that little drawer you see in the back right there. You know, it has a mind of its own. It slides out when it wants to sometimes. I can push it in and then it slides right back out. So I've learned to ignore it, and I hope that you guys can learn to ignore it as well. But yeah, that thing does what it wants. So yeah, I'm just cooking bacon. Cook bacon like you normally cook bacon. Make sure it's nice and brown. Make sure that everything is cooked and firm and meaty looking. Oh, hey, that's me looking in the fridge for some stuff. I got a Gatorade because I was thirsty and a little dehydrated. And I didn't feel like drinking water. We had tons of water in this house. I wanted something with flavor. So I got some Gatorade to put some electrolytes back in my system. So yes, so these are the ingredients. I'm using French onion dip, some black pepper, Creole seasoned garlic powder, cornstarch, and chicken broth for my cabbage. I don't know why I thought this was a great time to show you guys all of that. But listen, what you're not going to do is wash out your pot. What you are going to do is add all of your onions and your bell peppers into the pot with all your bacon fat. Listen, this is keto friendly. Well, keto friendly until you get to the cornstarch part. I don't know if y'all can eat cornstarch, but you can add any thickening agent that works for you guys. So I'm adding my cabbage to the pan. And I played myself because the pan should have definitely been bigger. But I ain't feel like washing out nothing bigger. I ain't feel like pulling out nothing bigger. So we're just going to work with what we got. So we're going to work in batches. As the cabbage wilts, I'm going to add more raw cabbage to it. Let me tell you something. It works out in the end, so just trust the process, all right? Just trust the process. So I'm like stirring the cabbage and incorporating the peppers and the onions. Also because that heat from the peppers and onions that are at the bottom are going to help wilt the cabbage that is in the middle and at the top. So that's why I'm constantly mixing it. And then also I'm a clean freak, so I like to clean as I go. So as little bits of oil was splattering, I was wiping it up with my paper towel. But yes, so that's what you want to do. As everything wilts, stir. And also give yourself a bacon snack. So I cooked 6 pieces of bacon. I was a little hungry because I didn't eat all day. So I kind of like flipped around my bacon and onions and peppers and all that goodness, and I ate a slice of bacon. Listen, treat yourself. I treated myself with a slice of bacon. If you don't like bacon, you can also use turkey bacon if you don't like pork bacon. Okay, if you don't like bacon at all, you can use some vegetable bouillon cubes or whatever the case may be. And also you can use vegan butter, because at the end of the day you need fat, right? So you can use oil. You can use vegan butter, which has oil in it. But you want to make sure that you have fat in this dish, because the fat is what is going to stew and fry this beautifully. All right, I digress. Anywho, so I use the rest of my cabbage. And I'm just mixing it around, wilting everything. You see I'm using my hand because I'm a savage like that. And yeah, we're not focusing on seasonings right now because we really want that cabbage to be wilted beautifully. But not wilted to the fact that it's super mushy. You still want some crunch in it, which is why I think adding the cabbage in levels or sections or stages, I should say, is really important. So now we're going to start on the seasoning. We're adding the French onion dip mix. We're adding some garlic, some black pepper, and some Creole seasoning. Also, for the French onion dip mix, I got this from Whole Foods. But if you could find the French onion soup mix from like Acme or ShopRite or wherever else, Kroger's, Wegmans, whatever is in your area, Publix, use that. Use the store brand. You don't need to do anything fancy, okay? I just got mine from Whole Foods, and that's what they had, so that's why it looks like that. But listen, as long as it's onion soup mix, you good. So mix that all around while everything is still cooking down. Looking lovely, looking gorgeous. Look at them colors. Yes, girl. This is going to be delicious. I tasted one of the leaves and it was horrible. Well, it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't seasoned enough. So I added some more Creole. I added some cayenne pepper because I like spice. I added some sugar because all vegetables deserve a little bit of sugar. And I added some apple cider vinegar. Going back to the sugar piece, listen, I put sugar in all my vegetables. I put sugar in cabbage, greens, string beans, everything. Oh, I added a little bit of chicken broth. I added maybe like 3/4 of a cup of chicken broth. Now I'm grabbing this cornstarch right here. You're supposed to make a little slurry, you know, with hot water and then the cornstarch, and you mix it up, and then you put it into your food and it thickens up the sauce. I didn't want to do all that, so I just added the cornstarch into the pot that I was cooking in. But that's because I'm lazy. And look at how it turned out. All that liquidiness turned into thick, delicious cabbage gravy. Like, are you kidding me? I also took my bacon and I broke that up and I sprinkled that in there and then mixed it up. My camera cut off, so couldn't show you guys all that deliciousness. But that's literally it. That's how I made this dish. Like, look at, child, what? Like, comment, and subscribe because I did that. All right, bye, y'all.